Hey, everybody, and welcome to whatever channel you're watching us on. So we've got, I'm going to mute Daniel till he gets his problem solved here. And so we're streaming to American in Crimea, InfoWars Press, and to Eddie's channel as well. And hopefully Daniel's. Yep, his showed up there too. So we're going out to Moscow Settlers as well. And tonight we're going to discuss the Julian Assange case a little bit. I'll give you guys some history. We'll answer some questions. And we're going to try to make it not too long because Eddie and I both have limited time today. So guys, welcome.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
I guess I have to unmute Daniel. Yeah.
Hello, guys. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can barely hear you. Crank the volume up a little if you can.
All right. I'm going to try to switch over.
I'll fix you. I'll give it double volume. How about that? Up, he muted himself. Oh,
can you hear me?
Speak.
All right, I'm going to leave. I'll come back.
He'll come back when he fixes his problems.
Yeah. So yeah, Furby Slayer. Yeah, good news for Assange. Not great news for truth and freedom and journalism. That's for sure. So those of you who are not aware of what's been going on, Julian Assange was released from the UK prison, put on an airplane, and sent to the Mariana Islands, which is actually U.S. territory, where he will see a judge at 2 a.m. Moscow time. And they have written up a plea deal between the prosecutor's office and Julian Assange. If the judge agrees to it, he will be released and on his way home to Australia. So, thoughts, Eddie? First impressions of all this?
First of all, hallelujah. Yeah. I am so glad for him, so glad for his family, that they will finally be reunited after so many years. And on a personal level, you know, the Assange case has always been somewhat personal to me because I consider myself to be a citizen journalist. Probably much like you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
yep.
What we do is try to share opinions and our personal opinions. And when we see a government oppress this, not only the US government, but hand in hand with global partnerships to block that, it's just really upsetting. You know, and also on a personal note, I believe, you know, in my opinion, and by far the most egregious assault on Julian Assange's rights is the fact that he was held hostage on orders of the US government. And not only that, he was then made to suffer, not only him, but his family as well, made to suffer over time until such time that the government said, okay, if you admit some guilt, you get your freedom, you know? And that's how I'm reading this. So not only did Assange and his family suffer, but also the rights of every journalist, whether a professional journalist, citizen journalist, every American citizen that is defended by the First Amendment, with all under assault for these many, many years. And, to this day, we are still under assault by some of the powers that be. And we're under pressure from many, many directions and on many, many different levels.
Yep.
Guys,
Go ahead.
I have a question. Where is he heading to? Where is he going?
He's being sent to the Mariana Islands because it's a U.S. possession. So part of the plea deal, he refused to go to the United States proper. So the prosecutor agreed to send him to the Mariana Islands because there's a U.S. federal judge there. So reality is, whether he's going there or if he's going to Kansas, it really doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. He was released from the prison in the UK, supposedly with bail, which raises questions for me. And, what do they need bail for? The UK needs bail to ensure that he'll show up in the U.S. Court. So that implies they may still hold some charges on him. I don't know for a fact, but I'm just, thinking through that a little bit. Now, a lot of people say he was freed. They let him get on a plane. He'll show up in court tomorrow. The judge will sign it and he'll go home. But it's not going to be that simple.
Oh, my Lord. Can you tell me what airspace is he going to be in on this airplane?
Yeah, he was in Taiwan or Thailand. I'll tell you in just a second because...
He did. He landed in Thailand earlier this morning.
Yeah, Thailand. And unfortunately, I can't get the flight tracker right now because I'm not on the proper VPN. If y'all want to track his flight, the link is in the description on my channel. I'll send it on to Daniel and Eddie to put in theirs as well. But there has been a plea from his wife to track that plane the whole way there because they think the United States might be up to something. Mm. And she's made the statement that until the judge signs it, there's no guarantees. And this is something people need to understand about a plea deal. Although it was made with the prosecutor, it doesn't mean the judge has to accept it. So he's got to go in front of the judge. He has to admit his guilt and accept responsibility for it.
And now, not only that, if I may, just real quickly, he's still in custody.
Yes.
We say that he's free, but as you said, technically, he isn't free yet because he has not pled before the court, and the court has not accepted that plea agreement from the
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange.
Yeah. So this is the video of him getting on the airplane, but notice the camera angles here. The only thing you saw was him getting on the airplane. What they didn't show you is the fact that he's being accompanied by U.S. Marshals.
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah. So this is why the bail thing doesn't make sense. They took him to the airplane. They flew on the airplane. It's likely a U.S. chartered flight, likely, 3-letter agency flight. They'll take him to the court in the Mariana Islands. I don't remember which island it is, but, they will, put him in front of the judge. The judge has the opportunity to refuse the deal altogether, in which case they have him in custody. They'll haul him off to the United States to be tried. Or the judge can extend the penalties. So the deal is, from what I've been told, for 62 months, the period of time he's been in jail in the UK, and they've asked to have him let off on time served. So the judge could say, nope, I'm giving you 20 years.
So for guys like myself, which this is not my expertise, I'm on here to learn and from you guys and to ask some questions. Could you tell us briefly what got him in this place, like in the first place? What got him? Like, what did he do?
You know, Julian, I would say he was the pioneer of reporting on, on governments, telling the truth. He was the guy that was the forefather to us. And WikiLeaks was originally founded in, was it 2006, Eddie?
2005, 2006, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And he was not in a lot of trouble then. They were basically people, anybody could go to their website and post whatever they wanted. Complaints about the government, documents, gripes about your favorite toothpaste, whatever you wanted to say, you could post there.
Right.
However, he started running afoul of the United States in 2010. And this is actually, there's a lot of debate about, did they legally charge him with a crime or was he doing journalism? I can't make a call on that. I would love to say he was doing journalism. And if he was doing journalism, then he legally can't be charged, because an editor of a publication cannot be charged for releasing information he got from somebody else.
Right. That's what I thought it was. Didn't somebody that worked for him got information and then he was trying to tell them, like, this is what happened and I can help you? Or
if I may, I think that might be related
Chelsea
to
Manning?
Chelsea Manning. Yeah. In 2010, I believe, Julian Assange received documents or information from Chelsea Manning, where I believe this is alleged by the government. And Chelsea Manning was a former soldier, and it had something to do, and if I could look it up really fast, maybe.
Bradley Chelsea Manning. Bradley. Okay.
Yeah. It's
okay, here it is. Yeah. So
go ahead.
So among the information that Chelsea Manning provided, there were files. It was a video of a 2007 Apache helicopter attack by American forces in Baghdad that killed 11 people, including 2 Reuters journalists. And so this was the big case that put the spotlight on Julian Assange.
Yes. Now, where they have nailed him legally on this is he was charged under Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 793. And is what that is, it's a lot of people are calling it conspiracy to obtain and disclose national defense information. It's actually titled Gathering, Transmitting, or Losing Defense Information. And it relates specifically to anybody, whether they are given this information unknowingly, or if they, get it freely from somebody. Anything that relates to a U.S. military ship, airplane, military base, flights of military vehicles, the moving of those vehicles like the ships across the sea, anything like that. So by actually having a video of the Apache shooting at, they were all civilians that got killed. That actually was showing the flight of a U.S. military helicopter and supposedly showing the inside of the helicopter, which is top secret. So according to that Title 18 Act, they can charge him with releasing the information.
Hmm. So, guys, your gut feeling, your expertise. I mean, what do you think is really going on now? I mean, they're letting him get on a plane. They let, he's flying. Like, what do you think is actually going to happen
right now?
What do you think is going to happen to him? Do you really think that the U.S. government is going to allow him to remain on this planet? Like, I mean, what?
Well, let's keep in mind that nobody's actually seen this plea deal. His wife claims to know what's in it, which is where the 62 months came from, but she is an attorney on his legal team. Now, the problem I've got with this is usually these plea deals have non-disclosures in them.
Hmm.
We will agree to this as long as you don't talk about it. Nobody's actually seen it. They haven't released it. Maybe it'll be released after, but he will be prevented from ever entering the United States by this conviction because it's a treason conviction. He will also be forbidden from entering the UK and maybe many other European countries. It's also been suggested that Australia will limit his freedom as well. Guarantee one of the clauses in it is that he will not be able to do journalism or broadcasting of anything like this in the future. Guaranteed.
What scares me? The hypocrisy when you say treason. This is a treasonous offense. I mean, how many people in the U.S. government has done a treasonous act and gotten away with it? The laws don't apply for us as they do for government officials.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me is today, after this announcement, the Australian Prime Minister is out there and he's going on about this was the right thing to do. He's been in prison long enough. He should never have been imprisoned and charged in the United States because he's an Australian citizen and it wasn't done in the United States. If it had been in the United States, then yeah, he broke their law, charge him. But look at all the other people that the United States just reaches out and touches someone. Maria Butina was grabbed and thrown in jail. Mira Tereda was grabbed out of Finland on supposed drug trafficking charges, which were bogus charges, and extradited to the United States to stand trial and go to prison. What was the arms dealer that they grabbed a while back? He was recently released. Do you remember, Eddie?
Yeah.
But they grabbed him out of a foreign country too.
Victor Boot.
Yeah. Eddie, you're actually muted.
Eddie, you're muted, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was Victor Bout.
Victor Bout, which I actually met him.
I met him too. Very interesting gentleman. At
a Christmas party, and wow, such a gentleman. Gave like a 5-minute speech. Met my family, was such a gentleman. So it makes me think, like you can't believe everything that you're being told about a certain individual, right? There are 3 sides to every story, right? Like after meeting him, I find it very impossible to believe things that were told about him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm always I'm a person that's always meeting people, and I have good feelings about people when I meet them. And if I have a bad feeling, with him, I had I trusted him. He was speaking with my children, with my wife. I met him. It's a type of guy that you could go to the Dachuas and have shashlik, and like that's
Absolutely.
yeah. So all the stuff that was told about him in the U.S. media, I mean, it's like so hard to believe.
Criminals have a vibe. They really do.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. You can sense it. You can sense it before you even see them. And none of that with Victor Bout. None of it.
None.
And as I listened to him speak, very intelligently, articulate, calm, and just well thought out. And it looked like he didn't even rehearse this. It just came right out.
Yeah.
And from the heart. And I said, this man got railroaded.
Yeah.
This man got railroaded. And that's what I believe. Kevin, you brought something up just a moment ago, because I believe Daniel asked, what are your thoughts about this? Okay, what is the motive behind this? And so my thought on this is that it seems like a concession. And that's kind of something which you were referring to about what was the Australian Prime Minister. Kind of sounded, well, it's the right thing to do. It's the human thing to do. It sounds like they're making a concession from the Justice Department. Now, what does the Justice Department get? Okay, they get another notch on their espionage conviction belt. At the same time, they get to come off looking like the good guy 5 months before an election year. Okay, that's one thing to remember.
2 days before the debate.
2 days.
And Trump has already been talking about pardoning him if he was president. So now they've taken that away from Trump.
Yeah, and he should have done that in the first term. But anyway, I digress.
Well, he couldn't. A president can't pardon somebody who hasn't been criminally convicted.
He wasn't convicted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely right. So here's my question. Okay, what is their motive? And by their motive, I mean the U.S. government. Okay. Now, the Justice Department of the United States is very good at lawfare, as we can see, because they're very good at using lawfare against people, especially if your last name ends in Trump. But could the Biden administration be attempting to sway independent voters, the voters that are, take justice as a human cause, that really believe in the traditional sense of liberalism? Okay, not the woke liberalism, but the original human liberties and social justice. Could the Biden administration be trying to sway those voters? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Biden has been playing two sides of the Palestine situation for, since October. We think what Israel's doing is the wrong thing. We need to support the Palestinians. We need to give them humanitarian aid by dropping it a half mile offshore and letting it float in. All while supplying arms and, working with Israeli intelligence on, destroying the Gaza Strip. So there he's playing to all these younger voters who are protesting at the universities because they would have been lost votes. And I think this is really playing to, like I say, taking that notch away from Trump, since Trump and RFK Jr. have both been talking about he needs to be released. So he pulls that out of it. And like you say, he is then catering to all the free speech proponents, the journalists, guys like us, who are looking at this going, the U.S. government's carrying this too far. I wouldn't vote for him. So I think he's pandering for votes. That's my opinion.
I think the timing of it is very suspicious, because this could have been done, should have been done years ago. So I find that the timing suspicious. I don't put anything past the Justice Department and well, let's just call it the Biden administration. I don't put anything past them to do something that's going to try to make them look good. But you can put lipstick on a pig, man, but it's not going to work.
Kevin, speaking the truth, asked you a question. Kevin, who is Eddie Gonzalez? I missed the first part. I was in Judging Freedom live stream with Jeffrey Sachs just now.
Well, he's probably heard half of what we said. Go ahead, Eddie. Introduce yourself.
You know what? Who is the person who said that? Speaking the truth, I would have not missed Judging Freedom with Professor Sachs either to come listen to this podcast. But my name is Eddie Gonzalez, and I am originally from Texas. I'm a native Texan, born and raised. I'm a retired law enforcement first responder, and I now live in Moscow, Russia, in retirement. I'm married to my lovely Russian bride. I'm also a photographer, so therefore there's the name Moscow Photographer. But that's who I am. Have a channel on YouTube. Follow the links. Go over there, check out some of my content, and love to have you part of the family. Thank you.
Yeah. Real good discussions on his channel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So somebody wrote, what is it, Albert Wiggler? Yeah, the whole Victor Bout Brittany Griner exchange. I mean, how do you guys feel about that exchange? Like, why would the U.S., a basketball player?
Well, my opinion of that trade was look what the U.S. was getting. Okay, for the woke culture, for the LGBTQ crowd, it was a win. And of course, now we know, or at least I feel, that the Victor Bout conviction and that whole deal was a sham and simply held as a political pawn, a political prisoner, political pawn to be used for trade. And, I think Russia got the better end of the deal with getting Mr. Bout back. And what's that gal's name? Brittany Griner?
Griner.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, big win for Biden.
But at that time of the exchange, wasn't there a Marine or a U.S. soldier that's being held? Like, wouldn't that have been a better exchange?
I remember. I don't remember the specifics about that case, but I believe you're right. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics either, but keep in mind this was in December after the special military operation started, that she was released. And being an innocent basketball player who was arrested for not breaking any laws. Well, she didn't break any U.S. laws. So it was a big propaganda thing. They were already blocking a lot of the Russian media over there. And to say, well, we exchanged a supposed gun dealer for an innocent military guy doesn't have the impact of, look what we did for this poor innocent basketball player who did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you get to advance the woke culture and the LGBT community and just all of that at the same time. So from the perspective of the Biden administration, it was a win-win. In my opinion, it was a loss, but okay.
Yeah. Yep. He's back.
He's back.
So, yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So what you're saying then is that was more of a political move for possibly votes because of the elections coming up. Like they picked her because they're looking maybe to get more votes from that LGBTQ community.
Yeah, I mean, it was, not related to presidential elections, but that was about the time that congressional elections were due to happen. Now let's be fair to both sides. It could be that Russia said, we're not letting the military guy go. If you want to negotiate over somebody, we'll give you the basketball player. So that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bruce,
but I think the propaganda value for the U.S. is bigger with her.
It is. It was a bigger win.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like the journalist that's arrested in Russia right now. They make the same arguments that Julian Assange has been making all along. He was a journalist. He was just doing journalism, didn't do anything wrong, and Russia just snagged him and threw him in prison.
Now, remember when Sweden brought up charges on, and I'm trying to remember, on Julian Assange for
rape.
Was it pedophile or rape of an adult?
Pedophilia
charges, yeah. Yeah. And so they held these charges over him, so they make your stomach turn when you hear them. What did Sweden do a few years later? They dropped the charges completely. How do you come out making such allegations and charges just to drop them later? It's like, Did it happen or did it not happen? Because if it happened, he needs to be prosecuted.
Well, what they did through that is that's originally what the UK arrested him on, because the UK at the time was still part of the EU, and they arrested him for a violation of not appearing for the warrant because he was holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy. So the minute they got their hands on him, that charge didn't matter anymore.
Crazy how suddenly those felony charges of that nature disappear, like magic. It's like, wow.
Yep.
So
go ahead.
Well, the other part of it is how scary that is for the average person, that at any minute, our government, and by our, I mean the U.S. government, because we are U.S. citizens, could charge us with anything.
Yes.
With anything. And we have no defense except the right to remain silent and to have counsel. That's it. When you get charged, those are your two rights. And exercise those rights, please, if you're ever arrested.
So let me ask you a question, because we're kind of talking about like Assange, that is kind of like a whistleblower. Is that correct? Does he fall under that label as a whistleblower?
Not what the United States would define as a whistleblower.
Okay, Kevin. So explain to me whistleblowers like John Mark Dugan.
That's somebody who has direct knowledge, and they've set the laws up so that in the United States, you can go to a figure of authority. You're supposed to follow the chain of command. You're supposed to go and report it to your boss that you see something that is not correct. And if you don't get satisfaction there, you're allowed to go further up the chain. And this is where a lot of these guys who end up thrown in jail or thrown out of their jobs when they, whistleblow, where they get them, because they say, well, you didn't, I don't remember the name of the guy. He was before Snowden, but he went to his boss and said, hey, this is what's going on. And, this is illegal. And they told him, yeah, okay, we'll deal with it. And that was all that happened. But when he went outside of that chain of command and said, hey, I reported this, he went up far enough that they slapped him back down and said, you didn't follow the proper procedures, and they terminated him. Then they filed charges against him. So whistleblowing sounds great, but I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't sitting in Russia right now.
So do you think that all the whistleblowers from the past, has it helped in any way? Because it seems like they're the ones that are running and in trouble, but the people that they're whistleblowing on is not in trouble.
Yeah. Look at Edward Snowden. Same situation. You know, did he break the law? He did release top secret information. On moral grounds, he was correct. Technically, he broke the law. But they also, like they did with Assange, they went a little overboard in pursuing him, in my opinion.
And Edward Snowden case for me is one of those where the act of committing the crime, there's a greater good in bringing this information to light. There's a greater good toward his fellow Americans and just humans as well, the entire world. So I look at him as a hero, as a heroic figure for me personally, like Julian Assange, even though he did technically break the law.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Robotrix is saying, but Assange is not an American.
That's why he's not charged with treason. He's charged with espionage, I believe.
Yeah, correct. Now, so I'll blow this one wide open right here. I talked about this a little bit on RT earlier today, but I didn't have time to go into it. So originally, and some of this information I got from my friend Laurie Spencer, who's an investigative journalist. But he disappeared again. Because I know this will generate questions with Daniel.
Hope he's listening.
So I'll wait for a minute on that one. Yeah, what I was going to say earlier is that journalist they arrested, had he been outside of a top secret military base in the United States would have arrested him. This guy was outside a military base taking pictures, so he broke Russian law. So he got arrested. So Daniel, I waited until you got back to go on with this one. So the original charges against Julian Assange were actually, the indictments were written by the Obama administration. However, the Obama administration decided that they needed to drop those charges because they were looking at it as WikiLeaks being a publisher, a news source. And they said, gee, if we prosecute Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, then we also have to prosecute the New York Times and the Guardian. And actually, at the time, we're calling this the New York Times and Guardian dilemma. So it wasn't until Trump took office that the charges were reinstituted by Mike Pompeo. When Trump took office, Pompeo became head of the CIA. And at the time, let me see if I've got the statement. In 2017, he said, WikiLeaks is a non-state hostile intelligence service often abetted by state actors like the Russian Federation. So is what they did is they reclassified WikiLeaks as an intelligence service. And normally to do surveillance of people like the WikiLeaks employees of Julian Assange, they would have to go to the president, get a letter from him stating that he agreed to let them do the surveillance. Then it had to be taken to the House and Senate intelligence committees for approval, and then voted on by the House and Senate. By classifying WikiLeaks as a hostile intelligence service, the CIA is no longer bound by that. Then they can spy on anybody they want to because it's considered offensive counterintelligence. So
Wow.
the CIA was involved with this while Pompeo was the head of the CIA.
And it's interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it's very interesting because during the Obama administration, when the charges were first instigated, they had the dilemma, as you said. Was it New York Times and Guardian? Mm-hmm. And New York Times, as we've come to discover, is nothing more than a mouthpiece of the CIA. And so Pompeo is just trying to take care of his own, you know, at that time. What was he, Secretary of State at that time?
Yeah, he was head of
Trump administration.
He was head of the CIA for the Trump administration. Then he was made the Secretary of State.
Then he was made Secretary of State. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has an interest in it.
Yeah.
And his interest is, let's cover up, let's keep the lid on, you know, New York Times, because that's our little mouthpiece there. And the Guardian, probably there's probably some assets stationed there as well. And if you don't understand this, and I'm talking to our viewers, just do a little research on Operation Mockingbird, and you'll learn about how that operation came about.
Yeah.
Also take a look at Vault 7, which is the files that WikiLeaks obtained and released. And Vault 7 files actually come from the CIA's ultra secret hacking division, an organization that I have some experience with. So it was a great embarrassment to the CIA to have them be hacked by somebody else when they're hacking, have their documents stolen and released. It made Pompeo's CIA look stupid.
So, question, you said the New York Times, I understand about the media in the US, and it's controlled by certain, people or organizations, but the New York Times is it's part of the CIA?
I wouldn't say that they're a part of the CIA, but there are people and editors and probably at all levels of the New York Times for years who are, assets of the CIA, which means they're friendlies. So you have maybe a person working at CIA who's working on propaganda. And so they concoct an idea that they want to put in the people's minds. So they say, okay, we need to change people's opinions on this particular topic. So let's concoct a story. We concoct a story, or concoct more like an idea. And then they pick up the phone, or they go have lunch, or they go meet with their buddy who works at New York Times and says, hey man, I got a little information for you. Talking about this, talking about that. And maybe you might want to write something out about that. Write something up about it. And then it gets picked up. And then New York Times puts it out, which is the official, the newspaper of record for the United States. So New York Times says something that the government says or says something, and then it's picked up by every other news organization. And so it just gets spread like wildfire. And this is my understanding of it. Kevin, what's your understanding of it?
No,
How it
this
works?
is exactly what it is. This is the way propaganda used to be done by the CIA before they moved into the computer age that I worked heavily with. It was all about relationships with individual journalists. Sometimes it would be small newspapers in South America. You know, go give them a story and they publish it, and then all of a sudden it's spread all over the place. The New York Times and the Guardian, being the the UK branch, were or are very friendly to the CIA. So they may even get a call, not only just, hey, here's some information, you might want to write something about this, but it also could be, we want you to kill this story. Maybe you have a good investigative journalist, went out, dug up a great story on something involving the government, and the editor would get a call saying, you should probably think about killing this.
Guys, I have a question.
Yep.
What is the role of this? What is the role of the CIA and what's the role of the FBI? Like, what were they initially set up to do? The FBI, the CIA.
It's kind of like the Russian GUR and the Russian FSB. FSB is internal, FBI is internal to the country. They're in charge of all internal investigations. The CIA was supposed to be doing investigations, legal espionage, fighting spies and things outside of the country. The CIA's charter actually says they cannot operate within the boundaries of the United States. That's what it says. And then NSA is kind of the gather all the information from all the other intelligence agencies, put it together, and be the, focal point for all that.
So it's safe to say that the CIA was set up to protect the U.S. from foreign.
Yes.
Right, but it's not meant. It wasn't set up for the CIA to like overthrow other governments.
No,
So
but
colorable.
Yeah, but because their oversight was so loose, they started taking more and more things on themselves. And, nowadays they do a lot of stuff with what they call black sleeve funding, which is money that they get from the different intelligence committees in Congress that isn't earmarked for anything. Maybe it's even taking money from other departments without their knowing it. Some of this lost money. Every time you hear about, this government agency lost $20 million, it likely went into the CIA's black fund.
So for people like me, who, I've woken up a while ago, but every day is a learning process. I want to learn, this is, so many people hopefully are waking up and they want to learn about things. Who oversees, like who's the one who's in charge of making sure the CIA is not doing anything illegal?
It's supposed to be Congress.
But in reality, the only one who's giving any oversight these days is maybe the director of the CIA.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of faith in that. There's something interesting that I want to talk about in talking about CIA, talking about NSA. I don't know how many intelligence agencies there are between Defense Intelligence Agency, National Security, NSA, CIA, FBI. They all have intelligence operations. DHS, Department of Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, right.
They all do. So after 9/11, there was a big, huge push to create intelligence networks, intelligence gathering networks, and create what are called fusion centers. Now, every state police department, every state police agency has a fusion center. I know this because Congress funded money for this in the early 2000s, post 9/11, to create a fusion center where they could gather intel information, of a criminal sort, but they would gather, there's human intelligence, there's open source intelligence, and there's covert intelligence and electronic as well. So these fusion centers would take information and then share this information with our federal partners. I love that word, federal partners, our federal and state partners. And in hindsight, looking back at this, now I didn't work in the fusion center, but I produced information that got transmitted to the fusion center. Let's put it that way. And I did work with some of these folks as well. So I understand how this process works. This is nothing more than, to me, a web going out inside the United States to gather intel from all sources. Like I said, it's open source. It's open source means like what you hear on radio, television, from another person, it's openly available. Your human intelligence would be, say you're an undercover detective and you've got your friendlies, your spies that we call them, and they give you information on what this criminal organization is doing, or what this criminal is up to. That's your human intelligence. And then your covert is, as the name implies. But to me, this was simply a grab of just wholesale information. Let's transmit it to the feds, and who knows what they're going to do with that information. So
Right.
I have lost all faith in that you can keep yourself secret and off the grid. If you have one of these, if you have a computer, I don't care how many VPNs you use, I don't care about end-to-end encryption, which doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Nothing that you transmit over a computer network is safe from prying eyes. So just have that in the back of your mind. There's some level of security, but it's never going to be 100%. And I don't work in this. Kevin worked in this. Maybe he'll back me up on that, but
Absolutely.
very
I mean,
difficult to keep your security.
I had somebody the other day disagreeing with me about Monero. We were talking about cryptocurrency, and I says, crypto is not secret. It's not anonymous. And they said, well, but use Monero. It is. I said, no, it's not. It's transmitted over the internet. Well, maybe if you're a guy who, has somebody holding your bag of potato chips in the basement in the middle of the night while you're, hacking things, the government has the computer systems to grab every single piece of information that goes
Wholesale
across the
data.
internet. They can decrypt it because they hold the most extensive encryption things in the United States. Can't export them to other countries unless they agree to give it to some of the Five Eyes nations. And all of those have backdoors for decrypting it. So nothing.
Scary.
Us right here, we are probably being listened to right now by at least 4 or 5 different intelligence agencies.
Hello
I know
from Moscow, Russia.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know that up front. And everybody, even you folks in the chat, they're checking you out too.
So I want to, interesting, Svetlana Vladimirova. She wrote, Assange was quite possibly a CIA asset not agent, who went rogue, hence the U.S. government's foaming at the mouth about his activities?
No. I know for a fact because, again, I had some involvement in some of the goings-on at this time. He was an embarrassment for the U.S. government. He released the initial stuff about Iraq, the false stories that were told to American citizens about Iraq. Scott Ritter, about the same time, same kind of situation. The government went after him. They've tried to ruin his life, and they've been doing it to this day. So Assange actually was, like I say, Pompeo had, a lit candle up his butt for Assange because of the embarrassment of them being hacked. And they had meetings where they talked about when he was holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy. They had a meeting and they talked about, should the CIA kidnap him from the embassy in the UK? Should they poison him to death and kill him? And they wanted other options from their intelligence agents. And there were meetings with the UK intelligence agencies where the UK agreed to look the other way if this went on. If the United States decided to send, whoever in to grab him out of another foreign embassy, that they would, oh, hey, and pay no attention to it. So I know for a fact he wasn't. He got caught up in the embarrassing of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And they looked for the little things that they could nail him on. Like I say, what they finally got him on was, you had a picture inside of a U.S. military helicopter. Well, it did an operation years ago, but that was enough for them to twist the law a little bit and say, well, you're guilty of this. They actually labeled him as a Russian asset. The United States CIA gave him to the rest of the U.S. government as a spy for Russia. They said that he actually hired Chelsea Manning to break into the government computers and get this information for the Russians. And when Chelsea Manning couldn't get into some of the computer systems, they claimed that Assange said he would assign somebody from his team to help him break the passwords. Now, is this true? I doubt it. Just knowing the way they operate, I doubt it. But, there's always a possibility. But I'll reiterate, my opinion is I doubt it.
Mm.
CIA was out to ruin that man. And what they have over him right now with this conviction is they can seize anything that he earned on WikiLeaks. So they can say all their computer equipment was bought and paid for by them releasing our intelligence. So we can go in and seize it. And the fact that they're not in the United States won't bother them in the least little bit.
So for any of the Americans who are watching this or in the chat, as an American living in America, I mean, should you feel worried like at any moment somebody can just knock on your door and take you out of your home and arrest you? I mean, is this what's happening in America now? Like, do you have to fear for your life if you write something or post something or it's scary times.
My 2 cents is you shouldn't fear it, but you shouldn't be surprised if it does happen.
Exactly.
You should be aware that it is a possibility. Whether it's probable or not, that can be debated. But yes, absolutely, it's possible. We are no one. We are nobody to the powers that be. So I wouldn't have to, I wouldn't necessarily say be prepared, but just know that, yeah, it is possible, but I wouldn't live in fear. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, never any sense in living in fear.
well, I mean,
But
yeah, don't live in fear, right? But just be aware of at any moment somebody can be knocking on your door and they just have the right to pull you out of your house.
well, also be aware in the United States, they can literally arrest you for nothing. This is what happened. I had a long discussion with Maria Butina about this and her case. We spent a lot of time talking about this. They charged her with conspiracy. What is conspiracy?
Catch on.
It's thinking about helping a foreign agent. Now, what they actually arrested her on, they called her conspiracy with a foreign national, because a friend of hers who was associated with the Russian government wanted to come to the United States, and she bought the plane ticket for him.
Wow.
That was the constitution of the conspiracy charges. So they can, and there is no defending against conspiracy because they don't have to have proof. They can charge you with conspiracy with no proof whatsoever.
Let me make a public service announcement to my fellow Americans from a former law enforcement officer. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Before you do that,
Yes.
got to have the little ticker. Go ahead.
Please pay attention. Okay. If the FBI comes knocking at your door and says, hey, we're from the friendly FBI and we just want to talk, no, there's nothing going on. You have nothing to worry about. We're just doing our job. We're just following up on stuff. We just have to come here and kind of do a little knock and talk. Do yourself a favor. Do not talk to the FBI at all. Say, hi, guys. Thank you very much for coming to my house. I'm so sorry. I don't have anything to say. Politely close the door and let them leave. If they do not have a warrant, you don't have to worry about them coming back. Okay? You've already told them you don't want to talk. They must leave because you've already told them to leave. If they stay, now they're trespassing. Pick up the phone, call 911, call the cops and tell them, hey, I don't want these FBI guys here on my yard. Get them out. Here's why. Any statement you make to an FBI agent is sworn. Okay?
Ooh.
What this means is if you tell them something, anything, and it happens to be a lie, and it's proven in court that you lied to the FBI, you have committed a felony against Title 18, and I can't remember Title 18 point whatever of the U.S. Code. You have committed a felony offense.
I didn't know that.
He's the only law enforcement agent, the only law enforcement agency, the only law enforcement officer that you cannot tell a lie to. You can lie to the police, the local police, all you want. Okay? That means nothing.
Wow.
Just talking to the FBI. Now, here's the deal. The only time that what you say can be used against you, as they say, is when you're being placed under arrest or you're the subject of an investigation and they read you your Miranda rights. In other words, you have the right to remain silent, yada, yada, yada. You don't hear those words. You're okay. You do not have to hear Miranda rights from the FBI whatsoever. You say good morning to them and it's good evening, they could file on you, okay? So do yourself a favor. You do not talk to the FBI at all.
Wow. Well, I didn't
that's
know that.
my 2 cents.
I didn't know that. As an American, I didn't know that.
Most Americans don't.
Wow.
And the FBI is happy that you don't know that.
Like we didn't learn about that. Like nobody ever told us that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you say to them,
Wow.
Here's another situation that some of our viewers may actually run up against more than them just knocking on your door and wanting to talk to you about something. Often they will come and knock on the door and they will say, we have a renewal application for, Joe Schmo. He has a top secret security clearance. He works for a Defense Department contractor. And before we can renew that clearance, we need to do a routine investigation. We'd like to talk to you about him. You've got the same problem. If you say he's a great guy, doesn't drink, and the guy goes and has a beer, you've now lied to the FBI.
Oh, man. Wow.
So how'd you like to go to jail on federal charges of lying over your buddy not drinking when he does?
And I will just say, from personal experience, some of these FBI agents aren't the smartest, or how would we say, the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Brightest
Just
color
saying.
in the crayon box. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So
These guys don't have, they're law enforcement. They are police. A lot of them don't have street cop experience. So, they're alert, they're attorneys, they're accountants, they're financial people with a badge and a gun. Imagine that. But no street experience as cops. So, yeah, do not talk to the FBI.
So Mr. Wonderful saying you never learn law enforcement unless you take the courses, and even then you don't learn everything. Reality is, if you join the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, you will learn more than you learn in college, in local law enforcement schools. They have their own universities. Have you heard of Langley? You're going to go to the farm.
Yeah, but I'm embarrassed to say I'm in my mid-50s and I never knew that about the FBI. Like, if you speak to it, that is crazy.
No, don't be. Nobody knows this. I mean, very few people.
But that is something that
and something outside of law enforcement you wouldn't know.
But that's something I think we should know, because, like you said, local police, state police, city police, you can lie to them and then whatever. But didn't know that about. Now, Mr. W wrote, and this is crazy. I can't even. Homeland Security is basically another money laundering scam to exist. Under Biden, they gave the copyright agencies an office. Nobody in America voted for the copyright agencies to be on government payroll.
Well, did anyone in the United States vote for the U.S. government to fund the Ukrainian kill list?
I was about to say that.
Great mind.
Yeah, that's another. Guys.
So let me explain this one to you. The contracting company I worked for when I was doing the computerized propaganda systems for the Department of Defense. Now, we were funded with $500 million for a period of 6 months for the entire project.
Wait, how much?
Half a billion, 500 million.
Where do we get all this? Where do we get all this money?
That's not all of it. That was for 6 months. That was official DoD budget. We had meetings with generals and commanders, requests of what they wanted in the system. And, they were talking to me and they're like, yeah, we can do that, can't we? I said, there's no way we can put this together in that period of time. It will take me, as the guy who had to write all the documentation on it, longer than that to write the documentation on it. And they said, don't worry about it. Well, 6 months comes and everyone's going, gee, that $500 million is running out. And magically, there's some new guys on the phone calls. Lots of guys named Smith. And all of a sudden, there's an extra $1 billion there. Off the budget. Black sleeve funding I was talking about before. CIA. And
So,
we burned to the end of that. It was funded again and again
wow.
and again and again. They have accounts that they're not accountable to anybody for, that they just pull money out.
So, Bruce Schreiber is asking me, have I heard of James O'Keefe? I did hear about him, but I don't know exactly what happened with him. What, you guys know?
I don't.
James O'Keefe is an investigative journalist, and
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember the name of his.
I forget the name of, but he's no longer there, right?
No, he was actually the board of directors fired him, and he's off on his own now. Project Veritas. That's the name
That's
I was
it.
trying to remember. So he was the head of Project Veritas, and I can't
Project
remember
Veritas.
which. There was a breaking point where they
He
they let him
investigated
go.
something,
Yes,
right? And then
I can't remember what he investigated, but yeah,
I forget too.
but he embarrassed the heck out of the government, and yeah, I can't remember it. But anyway, but James O'Keefe, if you don't follow him on X. His investigative videos are incredible. Yeah, I just can't believe some of the interviews, not the interviews, but the videos and the evidence that he's able to get. Yeah, just incredible.
So let me ask a question.
Oh, and that, by the way, I just want
Yeah.
to tell people what James O'Keefe is doing as an investigative journalist. That is called human intel. That's human intelligence. So the cops and law enforcement, they do the same thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So if the United States has all this money for all these different things that they're doing, why don't they have enough money to secure the border, take care of their veterans, take care of the homeless, the infrastructure, and like to take care of America, its own country? Like, why are they spending so much money everywhere else in the world, but they're not taking care of their own?
To defend democracy.
But what democracy are you going to have if it's all falling apart? I mean,
I was being a smart aleck, Daniel.
no, I know, but what now? So after that comment, how about the question? Why aren't more Americans waking up to this? Are they not seeing this? Like what we're seeing from Russia? Are they not seeing what's happening to their country?
We're going to go back to the live stream, the last live stream we did over on my channel, where I said people in America are asleep. Okay. And the reason they're asleep is because they live in a consumer happy world. Okay. So as long as they're happy, they can go shopping, they can buy what they want, they can buy the new TV, they can afford to remodel their kitchen, that the husband can buy his new boat that he wants to take to the lake on the weekends, as long as they can afford it. That's why credit is so big in the United States. As long as you can afford it, you can keep yourself happy. Nobody cares about what happens outside the United States. They only care about what they can see. And this vision, it can be very narrow or it can be very wide, it can be open as well. But that's basically.
But Eddie, what is it going to take? I have family and friends in America. I have friends in Germany, in Ireland, in Australia, and what they're telling me is happening. So say half of Americans woke up. What is it going to take for the other half to wake up after the last 3 years of what we've been through? And what's going on in America? They're never going to wake up.
You cannot wake up a person who's not ready to wake up. They're not ready for that information. We woke up because we were ready for it on whatever level. So it takes time, and they will gradually start to open their eyes. But more and more are waking up.
So
Yeah.
an analogy for you. Somebody comes to you and says, gee, I know this guy, he has a drinking problem. And, we need to talk to him. We need to intervene. Well, until that guy, or even a drug problem, pick one, until that person hits rock bottom and they look at themselves and say, you know what, I've got a drinking problem, I've got a drug problem, you will never convince them that they do. You can talk till you're blue in the face. You can show them videos of them drunk at the bar, the kitchen table, whatever. They will never listen to you. It will always be, I do not have a problem, until they're ready to admit it.
You know what? Erica Ray, I think she hit the nail on the head. Consuming all the things, including having your kids and tons of extra activities, both parents working, keeping up with every new show, gadget, etc. No time. That's it. No time to critically think or assess what's going on. This is what they're doing.
It's the rat
This
race.
is what they're doing. You're so busy. This is absolutely correct. You're so busy in life, you don't have time to stop and research, stop to think about,
Information overload. Yeah.
and
like
also
Eddie
electronic.
says, yeah. And like Eddie says, in addition to no time, you go paycheck to paycheck, buying on credit what you need. Well, let me get another credit card. Let me take out a 7-year car loan instead of the 6-year one that I got last time. They're happy. They have information overload with what's coming in. And
they live a comfortable life.
Yeah. It's easier to say my government won't lie to me. So I listened to the 6 o'clock news. They said, this is going on. That's what's going on.
Yeah. And also too, like marketing. Marketing is a powerful tool for corporations that are selling things, right? Just like propaganda for governments. And, there are a lot of people who are having a tough life, and maybe they're hurting inside, or something happened in their childhood. So when they get older, they're trying to fill a void. So you're trying to keep busy maybe, or you just keep buying things you think you need, but you don't really need. And then you get sucked into that, everything you're buying, things that you're buying. Cause I did it in my 20s. I was trying to fill a void. I was buying things thinking it's going to make me happy. Never made me happy. And all it did is I had to work harder to pay for everything that I bought. Now, my last 13 years in Russia has been the happiest 13 years in my life, because I'm living a simple life. I don't have the house on Long Island. I don't have the 2 cars and all the utilities and the food and my wife and I worked so hard to live that life. We had no time during the week. And then when the weekend came, we had to mow the lawn, do the laundry, go food shop. The house owns you. You don't own the house. So you know what? Now that I think about it, Erica is 100% correct, because I was so busy. I didn't care about anything else.
Well, and what have they also done with the products that you're buying to keep yourself happy? You used to be able to buy like a cell phone a long time ago, and it would last you 5-6 years. The paint would be scratched off of it. The flip would get stuck, whatever. Now you go buy yourself, your latest phone, and it's good for a year or 2. Batteries are designed to go dead. So you either have to repair it or, if I repair it, I have to turn it in. It takes me, 6 months to get it back. I can't live without my phone. So you just buy a new one.
What was it? T-Mobile even has a marketing slogan for it. It's Forever Phone. So every year you can trade in your phone. You'll never own it. You never own your phone, but you'll pay for it month after month.
Never out from under that contract either.
Yeah.
2-3 year contract.
So, yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I told you guys in the past, when my son was born in 2010, I started researching, and I'm going down the rabbit hole and the rabbit hole and the rabbit hole, trying to I just wanted to research how I can make it healthy environment for my son, right? But then I'm learning, and that's why we moved to Russia, because I wanted to raise my children here, because I'm learning so much of what's happening in 2010. And it's just like, it's so overwhelming sometimes, like I really want to keep educating myself, but it's like, there's always something new to learn about. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how there's so much things to learn about,
there's in certain circles, there's a term for this, and it's called the Great Awakening. And people are slowly starting to wake up. And at the same time, what has remained hidden from all of us, it's been there all this time, but we haven't seen it. But now that lid is lifting up, and we're seeing all of this garbage, all of this junk that was hidden from view, we can now see it, and we can see the corruption. We can see the rottenness. We can see the systems that don't work. Our education system that's failing in the United States. Our financial system that's getting ready to collapse in the United States. Our justice system, which doesn't work, which locks up innocent people. Or, you even see the police overreaching. So
very scary.
It's just, we can see this now. And then now you have, everybody has a cell phone. Everyone can go online through TikTok, through YouTube, through X, and immediately broadcast what they see in close to real time. And so this has been the biggest, probably stake in the heart of those who would want to keep all of this corruption under wraps. So thank you to who created the internet? Who's the politician? It was Bill Clinton's vice president, Al Gore. Al Gore says he invented the internet. Okay. And
I thought it was Biden.
Was it Biden? No, I thought it was Al Gore.
You're probably right. I'm just being a smart aleck.
And so Al Gore created the internet and takes probably a lot of pride in that. And now he probably hates it, because this internet has been, like I said, the biggest stake in Dracula's heart to uncover all that has been hidden from humanity for ages.
Yeah.
Which is also why they're working so hard to block certain sites on the internet from people, certain news agencies broadcasting on the internet, certain people talking on the internet, and why U.S. intelligence has backdoors into every social media site out there, including VK and OK.
Let me give you an example. iPhone 8, okay, case is falling apart. That's the old one. You can't change the battery in your iPhone. Have you ever considered why? Have you ever thought about why?
Yeah.
Because it's always on.
Yeah, even in airplane mode. Even when you shut it off.
Even in airplane mode.
I just heard the other day somebody say, even if your phone is off, they can listen to you.
Your phone, your laptop, anything that you cannot physically remove a battery is always on.
So a good example of this is the iPhone and iOS 18, the one that they're going to be releasing in September. It will show you the clock on your phone while the phone is turned off.
Wow.
So it's running. You ever wonder why you're sitting at your computer and you start talking to your wife about something, and all of a sudden you start seeing advertisements for it on your web browser?
Absolutely.
So
it's not coincidence.
Speaking the truth, it was probably intentional to keep most Americans living from paycheck to paycheck so that they are too busy with living than address USA country problems. You know what? And this is why I think I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life these last 13 years in Moscow, in Russia. Because what's the expression? I'm not living to work. I'm working to live.
To
Is that
live, yeah.
correct? So like I have time. I have time for myself. I have time for my wife. I have time with my children. I have time to think. And on Long Island, I didn't have time, man. All I thought about was, you know, working and paying the bills and working around the house and like, so it's absolutely true. I think they do it intentionally. And now with the internet, you see, you're in public, you're on the bus, you're in the metro, everyone's looking at their phone. Nobody's looking at each other. Nobody's looking around. Nobody's looking up at the sky, right? What's happening in the ionosphere? What's happening in the atmosphere? Everyone is busy now with their electronics. And that's stopping people from interacting with each other, looking
Yes.
at each other, you know? Wow. Wow. So what would you, now this could be a problem for many people that are waking up and coming to this realization and really seeing what's happening, that a lot of stuff is a lie. And a lot of what we learned in school was a lie. So how do you think people are going to react to that? That can become a pandemic with depression and emotions and sadness and
Well, I think people go through their own stages of awakening, and just like there are stages of grief, there are stages of awakening, and the first part of it is just you're just overloaded. You're like, wow, I had no idea, and you walk around in a daze, and then
Yeah.
you slowly start to process this, and then sooner or later you get to a point where you can actually see through the BS. You can see. It happens with me all the time. I see the news. I'll open up Telegram. I'll see news, and I can immediately see right through it and connect the dots.
Yep.
And I may not be 100% correct, but I know I'm more than halfway through. And this is a gift of this new, how to say, I can't even think of the word, intuition. It's just intuition. You can see relationships. You can see how this connects to this, connects to this, connects to that. This is probably what the truth is, and that's what I was saying about the timing of the Julian Assange case. To me, I can just see the timing of it is suspicious. What is happening in America, who benefits, and who the winners and losers are, and then what the actual narrative is. It just, to me, it points to one or two conclusions.
so well, God
I-
bless that man. God bless that man. I mean, he's been through hell, and I mean, I don't know how he's had the strength all these years to go through what he did, but hopefully everything's going to be okay with him, and probably he should come to Russia if he can.
Well, unfortunately, he will probably have travel restrictions.
But he's free. Why are they telling us he's free if he can't travel anywhere?
He's still in custody. He isn't
he's
free.
not free. He's not
He's
free.
still in custody as of now.
And you don't know what's in that plea agreement. And you don't know what other governments are going to do with basically a convicted U.S. felon, including his own country.
Unbelievable.
And if I was him, I don't know that I'd want to leave my country.
True. May not ever be able to come back. Speaking the Truth says he's back in Australia. No, not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Albert Wiggler, wonder why people are losing their minds. Nobody engaging in meaningful ways with one another. And this is a lot of times what I say, like, I'm a people person, every day in Moscow, in Russia, wherever I go, I am talking with people. And I'm meeting new people all the time. Like, I need this. I can't talk through texting. or WhatsApp or Telegram. Like I need to
It's
be
because you're
around people.
old.
And this is what I've been doing the last 13 years in Russia. My wife and I went to the clinic the other day. I had to re-register, because I had my permanent residency with my free medical, and then I got my U.S. My Russian citizenship, and they redid all the clinics in our neighborhood. Went in, there was a cafe. We sat down with a woman, I don't know, 80, 82 years old. My wife is filling out paperwork, and what am I doing? I'm asking her if her coffee is delicious, how's her pastries, like I have. And my wife is like, Daniel, right? When she says Daniel Robert, I'm in trouble. She goes, Daniel Robert, you always embarrass me. But for me, it's not an embarrassment, And then there was kids there, students, medical students, and I go up to them. I'm like, "Are you guys students?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Man, this is great, Like this is how I am every day." I'm talking with people, and it's so true. Wonder why people are losing their minds, because we are not. We're communicating through electronics.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We need to get together. Like my family's Italian growing up. Every Sunday, man, every Sunday, it doesn't matter what was going on, we had dinner together.
One bowl of pasta and 8 forks.
I'm telling you, but that's what we need to do. We need to break this chain, and a lot of people, like I try to call people, they hang it up and they text me. Like they don't want to talk. Oh boy. Yeah. Well.
Hey, gentlemen, any closing thoughts? Since Eddie and I have actually stayed longer than we agreed we would tonight, but
No, it was good conversation. Good conversation.
Yeah.
Man.
Always
totally
good to have
enjoyed
good
it.
Conversations. Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation, and let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Thanks for having me on. I'm not an expert like you guys, but it's a big learning experience.
I'm not an expert either, man.
I hope that I can add to the. I hope I'm adding to the conversation.
Yeah, I said this to
Absolutely.
Eddie before the show. One of the things that we appreciate about you, none of us are experts in everything. We all add a little bit of something, but you have good questions. And it's thought provoking. It gets things out there. It's and you're a learner.
Yeah.
And this is what people need to become, as learners.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just, if I can wake one person up and change one person's life, that's awesome, So
Yep.
Question everything. Wasn't that one of the things Fox Mulder used to say from X-Files, if you remember that?
I love that
series.
show.
Question everything.
You're showing your age, Eddie.
I'm telling you, man. 59, baby.
Yeah. And what's RT say now? Question more.
Question more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But guys, thank you for having me. And it's really, our conversations, the time goes so fast, it's like, so I hope people who are watching and all the subscribers enjoy it. And I appreciate you guys and all the hard work that you guys do, Kevin, Eddie, with your channels, and it's a lot of work. I just started a YouTube channel. Eddie helped me with my first serious video, and I got to tell you, man, it's not easy making videos, editing, the time at the computer, doing lives. I mean, it's a lot of work, guys. So I really thank you guys for it. It's.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It's great, but we got to stay strong. We can't let them win. We have to stay strong and keep trying to educate people.
Yep. Keep your eyes open, learn more, and then eventually you start, like Eddie was saying, you look at something and you go, that doesn't make sense, or it leads me to this conclusion. So that's what it's all about.
Speaking the Truth asked about the name of my channel. It's at Moscow Settlers on YouTube, on Telegram, on X. It's all the same name, at Moscow Settlers.
Yep, right underneath your name.
Right underneath
Oh.
my name, right.
Let me just put this public service announcement out very quickly as well. If you guys are not on my Telegram channel, I do have a Telegram channel. It is at Moscow Photog. Head over there, post videos behind the scenes and just whatever's of personal interest to me as well. So you get a little bit more information from there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important now. I'm learning that we have many channels, because now do you see the family from Australia in Altai?
No.
They have 100,000 subscribers. The Australian family who moved, they're farmers. They bought land. They're building.
Yes. Yes.
He just made a 3-minute video today saying, guys, 2 or 3 channels were deleted from YouTube last week. So please follow us on Telegram, and we're gonna, and they have this other, like, I guess, paid thing where you get extra content and stuff. But the people are starting to see it's we need to let subscribers know that at any day our YouTube channel can be deleted.
Can be go. That's right.
Yep.
And that's the good old democracy in the USA.
Yep. So, yeah, I saw somebody else asking about your YouTube channel, Daniel. Moscow Settlers.
Moscow Settlers. Telegram, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, Altai is beautiful. Altai is beautiful. Dan from Siberia is in Altai, right?
No,
Dan
he's in
from Siberia is
Sludanka, outside of Irkutsk.
up by Irkutsk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow!
So,
speaking the truth now. She's. Can you guys tell me real quick about Speaking the Truth? They're on YouTube. What's? I need to sign up.
No, Speaking the Truth is saying they just signed up to your channel.
To your channel, yeah.
Yeah, but I need to join their channels. So they're talking about geopolitics and everything.
They'll have to put their channel in the chat for you, because I don't know either. So I'm like Daniel. I'm not original. If you know my YouTube channel, you know my Telegram channels.
Yeah, I do all the channels the same at Moscow Settlers. Yeah.
Same as X, formerly Twitter.
Yep.
Mine's under a different name because I played around with my my YouTube handle, only to discover that I have to wait 14 days to make a change
it again. Yeah.
So bear with me, guys. I'm trying to make it easier for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. It's so important that we support each other. Support people who are telling the truth. Because Kevin, have you done a live on this? It's very interesting for me, this 5th generation warfare.
I have not. I've been thinking about it, but it's just finding the time. The news has been keeping me so busy these last since you mentioned it the other day.
Yeah. I really want to learn about that. Generation 5th generation warfare. Seems really, really interesting.
For you, my friend, I will look into it. Make some calls to contacts.
My channel.
So here's everyone go see Speaking the Truth's channel, and
Yep. We all got to support each other. All right, guys. My channel is being censored by YouTube and given a strike for uploading the truth. So Speaking the Truth, are they on X? Do they have a Telegram channel maybe, or X, or? Okay.
Hey, speaking the truth, don't worry about it. You'll get it back eventually. Just got mine unblocked. So
What do you think's going to happen now with Russian code and Sasha Meets Russia? You think they'll get theirs back?
no,
No.
they've physically been deleted from the system.
Wow.
I think you will find them both re-arriving under new names. They have backers, so with the size of channels they had and the marketing they had, this was part of the problem. Is they were too out there and too vocal about things. I'm sure their backers will bring them out somewhere. If nothing else, you'll probably search around Rumble or X, or Odyssey seems to be a big one. Yandex Zen, that's I'm up there at this point.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll have to
But you
check
can't
those
live
out.
stream there. Yeah.
All right.
All right,
guys.
everybody.
Yep.
Okay, folks. Once again,
Thank you, all you audience members. We appreciate you. Eddie, Daniel, appreciate it.
Thank
you, my
you.
friend.
Comrades, Tovarish. All right.
Bye-bye. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Just for Danya.